Hi everyone, welcome back. So to kind of go off of it being October, I figured I'd give this a try, but I finally have read my first Stephen King book and I enjoyed it. It was actually pretty good. But I read The Shining. I figured I might as well do something that's well known. I don't watch a lot of horror movies. So I've seen bits and pieces of this, so I knew somewhat of what it was, but I honestly went into this not really knowing the story. The only thing I really knew about it is some crazy maniac runs around with an axe and this kid sees like dead people. So that's pretty much the extent of what I knew. So it was fun going into this, not really knowing the story, and I've never read a Stephen King book. And so I was really excited to give this a try. I was really in the mood for something. I'm like, you know what? It's, October, it's fall. I really wanted something more, on the spooky side kind of thing. But I'm not really I don't want like some mass murderer kind of story. I like more of that, what's it called? It's more of it's kind of more of a thriller kind of book. There's a word for that. Shoot, I can't remember. But yeah, so I just wanted something more with that spooky atmosphere. And it was just, I feel like this did a really good job of meeting that. So I was really excited. I didn't know what to expect. And it was fun. It was fun to do. And actually, I read it relatively quickly. I did find it pretty addicting. I made sure, though, I wasn't reading it right before I was falling asleep because I do like to read a little bit right before I go to sleep. And so I was continuing with my Wheel of Time reads. So I wasn't reading it right when I was, turning out the lights because I'm like, yeah, it's probably not a good idea. So I didn't do that. I did have a limit, but I enjoyed it. And honestly, I mean, I didn't find it, that spooky or anything. Actually, I was kind of having fun with it by the end. It was I was like, I want more. So it was good. But yeah, so the plot of this story, if you don't know, I didn't know, it's following Jack, who is the main character in this, and it's his wife and his son, Danny, who they are kind of the main three, and they all move into this hotel up in Colorado for the winter season. They are the only ones there because this hotel is closed for the winter season, and pretty much Jack's just been hired to be the caretaker to make sure the boiler's running, stuff is staying clean kind of thing, just keeping track of everything, just making sure everything's okay. I think he had to do some kind of maintenance around, roofs, shingles, and all that kind of stuff. So, but they needed someone up there because the previous person killed his wife and kids, so they had to get someone new. A little bit of foreshadowing there, I think. But yeah, so they had to get someone new for that, so Jack and his wife and his kid all go up there for that because he really needed a job because he just got fired as a English teacher, and because he has some anger issues. And so he needed the job. His friend got him a job up there. But so they're the only ones up there, and because it's the winter season in Colorado, they're up on one of these kind of mountain areas, so essentially the roads get blocked off, and so they're going to be isolated at one point. So yeah, they that's kind of where you're starting off with, is you're getting that build up to that. And the thing is, the first half of the book, it's giving you a lot of backstory and a lot of just flashbacks of things, and it gets kind of annoying after a while because you're just just move on with the story. But you can see why it's needed because it's explaining why Jack is the way he is and his past with alcohol and anger and just his constant struggling with everything. And then it also goes into how he was raised. And so you're seeing a lot of why he probably, started to go kind of crazy, or why he was susceptible to going crazy. But you're constantly getting his inward struggle. And it is interesting to read that. I feel like the movie probably wouldn't be able to capture that as well, at least with all that backstory. I haven't seen it. So I'm not sure, but I'm just assuming that it probably didn't capture it quite as well as probably, the book had done. And I think it's definitely very necessary to show more of that like, I don't know, that psychoanalyst there kind of thing going on. I don't know. But yeah, so I do find that pretty interesting, looking back and being like, okay, you can see him trying to redeem himself, but also how he was very susceptible. He is definitely the definition of a loose cannon. He can just all of a sudden go off. There's, the couple instances in his past that really stuck with him. And so he tries really hard to be better, especially to Danny, his son. So, he tries really hard because he doesn't want to lose it. But he's also like, when he does get really mad, it's almost like he just loses control and he just cannot help himself. And the hotel plays on that. And so after a while, it starts to get to his head. And he lets it. So the flashbacks might feel a little repetitive after a while because you kind of are getting the same ones over and over, especially those couple instances in his past. But like I said, you can see why it's necessary. But it also, that was probably my main complaint, is it just got a little tedious. And I'm like, okay, just move on with the story. Like, show me the random dead people in the hotel. I don't know. But that's more interesting. But it did finally start to get crazy. You do get hints, before the halfway mark. But after that halfway mark, that's when things really start to go down, which made it fun. I enjoyed that. So the atmosphere then got to get way more creepy, especially when they're finally isolated up there in the winter season. And there's a lot of creepy moments. My highlights of the creepy moments is the hedge animals were weird. Obviously, room 217, which I think in the movie it's like 237 or something. I think I saw that. I don't know. But in the book it's 217. The masquerade party thing going on with the elevator moving up and down on its own, but there's things in the elevator. There's like this creepy dog person towards the end, that was I think one of probably the eeriest moments, just because that was really creepy, especially when it was like talking or I don't know, barking or talking to Danny. That was weird. That was a really weird moment. That one kind of was like, gave you the creeps on that one. And then Jack having conversations with like the previous caretaker who killed his family, and like the wife and Danny couldn't like really hear that conversation, but they could hear Jack's side of him talking to someone. He's like, oh yeah, I'll kill him or something. That was creepy too. So that was another weird moment. So yeah, there was some really good scenes, and especially those ones. But those were the ones that were probably like, give you the creepy atmosphere feel. So I liked those moments. Those are fun. And then there's a bunch of others, but all together, they all make up something kind of creepy. But yeah, it started to really get crazy towards the end, which was what was fun. Now, the ending of the story, it was just kind of okay to me. I wasn't that impressed. I was kind of glad, though, at the end. I can't remember if it was because I read the... No, I think it was still part of the end, because I couldn't remember if it was like a hint of the chapter of like the second book. But they kind of show that it's not like over yet. So I was happy for that. But I don't know. The ending was just okay. It kind of felt a little bit like one of those like Michael Bay movies where everything's just exploding. I don't know, that's kind of how I felt, but it was okay. But let's face it, we're not reading this book for the ending. We're reading it for the creepy scenes, which I felt like were delivered properly. So I liked that. This was definitely a book out of my comfort zone because I don't tend to read stuff like this, so it was fun. I was glad that I got to try it. And plus, I finally got to read my first Stephen King book. I've seen so many people talk about him, and I felt like I was like, you know what, I really got to try this. And I was excited about it, so I'm glad I did, and I want to try more of them. I'm not sure what other book I'll do next, so of his, but there are a couple that I wouldn't mind trying. At some point, I probably should try to read it, because that's a popular one too. There's also another one. It's like 1122 something. I don't know. It's a bunch of numbers, so I probably got that wrong. But that one too, I think would be a good one to try. I did find the story addicting. I had a lot of fun reading it. And I guess for recommending it, it depends. If this is something that you would like or not. I don't know. It's kind of left to your own personal taste. I usually recommend just fantasy books in my videos, but I guess if you want to give a horror story a try, this isn't a bad one to try, because it's not like, you know, some mass murder scene, but you are getting more of that like creepy, eerie feel. So I mean, it just depends what you're looking for. I don't know. So I mean, it depends whether you want to read or not. I mean, if someone would have recommended me this book, that knowing the type of genre I read, I'd probably just been like, oh, you know, I don't care. That's not what I read. But for some reason, this was just what I felt like reading at the time. So I don't know whether to recommend it or not, depending. But if you do like these types of books, then yeah, I do recommend it because it was fun. And I couldn't put it down at times, and I enjoyed it. Definitely delivered for what I was looking for. So I had a lot of fun with that, and I hope you enjoyed watching this.